So welcome to In the Kitchen. I'm feeling kind of mellow today and a little nostalgic, and this is a recipe that I made a long time ago and I haven't made it in a while. So really, we're just gonna walk through the whole recipe. I think this is something that you're going to be very inspired about. This is gonna feed 6 people. It is my fresh lasagna. We're gonna have ricotta cheese made with a pine nut base. We're going to do a very kind of simple down basil pesto. And then we're going to make a tomato sauce in the blender, and we're going to layer zucchini and fresh tomato and spinach. Okay, so what we're going to start with is the zucchini, because this is basically our lasagna noodle. Now, normally I would use my ceramic peeler, but it looks like my kids were playing with it and broke it. So we're going to just slice it very thin. And if you're really good with a knife, go in there and just get it as flexible and as thin as you can. Now you're going to need about 3 zucchini. And because it is the early fall, late summer right now, as I'm making this, zucchini are in season and they're really plump and juicy and fresh. If you try to make this in the wintertime, know that you're going to have a little bit of bitterness around the green, and it might taste better if you peel the green off. There we go. Layer them up. So what I'm going to do is lay them out on a paper towel. And what's kind of nice about that is we can put a little bit of salt on them, and what will happen is it'll break them down just slightly so that the noodle, the zucchini noodle itself, becomes more pliable. Especially since I've got some really thick pieces here. I want to break them down. And then what we'll do is do one layer like that. Sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on top. And then put a paper towel on top. And that'll start releasing some of the fluid. And then while I am chopping away, how about we take the pan, put a little pressure there. Meanwhile, we're going to make the ricotta cheese. And what I've done here is I have soaked 2 cups of pine nuts. Pine nuts have a nice rich flavor to them, and you can also use macadamia nuts, but I prefer the pine nuts for this particular recipe. And I'm going to turn around into the sink and drain these real quick. Okay, and I've rinsed them. You like the sun coming in? That's my skylight up there. Okay, we're going to put that in the food processor. Put a couple tablespoons of lemon juice into this to give it that cheesy flavor. That's a beautiful lemon. It was so soft. Do you know that you get more juice out of a room temperature lemon? So if you're tempted to stick them in the refrigerator, rethink it. Does anybody know how to pick out a good lemon? This one, that's Ben. Ben on the camera. This one was very soft and pliable, and this one's a little thicker skin. So this is going to have more juice by weight in general. You're going to feel that weight. This one's going to be a little harder to juice. It may have a lot of juice in it, but in general, you want to kind of soften it up, maybe roll the lemon right before you juice it, and you're going to get more juice out of it. Now, I'm not huge on measuring things. I'm just giving you an idea, and this will be on the recipe in the page. You can always add more if you like it a little tartar, but there's a couple tablespoons. I'm going to add just a little bit more because I like a real tangy cheese myself. And then what we'll do, same tablespoon, we're going to put some nutritional yeast. Remember what I said about nutritional yeast? Mixed with sea salt, it creates a cheesy flavor, especially when you put it with a nut, pine nuts in particular. You'll see that in Get Naked Fast. I do a pine nut parmesan. So we put a couple little tablespoons of that, and then we're going to put in, let's see, a nice little, about 1 teaspoon. That's my measurement of sea salt. Now this recipe, remember, is going to be on the website, and we've got our fancy little processor here. Pulse it. Oopsie. Maybe we should plug it in first. Okay, go in and scrape it down. You want to get all those nuts in there. See how nice and soft it's getting. While I have the lid off, I'm going to give it a little nibble. paste is just perfect. Delicate, light, it's got a little tang to it. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it a little bit nutty. You know, the one thing about pulsing is you can do it however you want. You can make it as smooth as you'd like, but because we're simpling down the pesto, when I say that, it means we're not gonna make it as pungent. We're gonna layer, get rid of some of the nuts in there and make it more syrupy. So I'm gonna keep this kind of chunky for now. Okay, so that is another layer. Now let's go to the pesto. The pesto we're gonna do in a blender this time. Because it is a lasagna, we're going to have many layers. Did I tell you why I was feeling nostalgic today? I'm feeling nostalgic today. I'm feeling nostalgic today because I just sent one of my children off to college, and I'm going to be taking my second one, I have twins, to college as well next week. And these are just some meals that I prepared for them in the past couple years that they've really liked. And I just feel like feels like a little bit like fall right now, school's starting, and I don't know, it just kind of warms my heart and makes me think of making family meals. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I might start to cry. Okay, so basil, also in season right now. I'm going to put 2 cups, pretty packed tight basil in there. Right, basil, I'm gonna put just a little bit more, scant more, okay. And then what we're going to do is put about ½ a cup of walnuts. Now you can use pistachios, you can use hazelnuts, you can use pine nuts, you can use walnuts, really any kind of nut, almonds even. So if you are allergic to walnuts or you like one over the other, macadamia nuts. Pesto is one of those things that really just takes an herb, a nut, some olive oil, some garlic, and you've got a pesto. You can make up whatever you want. We're just going to use walnut because there happen to be some fresh ones that we're in season. I'll put ½ a cup in there. Okay. And we're going to put in about 1 teaspoon of sea salt and garlic. Now normally I would, let's see what I just did there, broke that up. Normally I would shave it in, but because we're going to blend it, we don't need to shave it in there. And then about ½ a cup, quarter to ½ a cup of olive oil, depending on what we need to make this blender roll. Again, I'm not really measuring our lid. Let's see how this does. Put some more liquid in here, and you'll see it start to move. Let's try that. What I have here is 2 cups of sun-dried tomatoes. Can I show you something really special? My mom sun-dries her tomatoes, and I was going to use these, and I thought, you know what, they're not going to make bright enough color, but look at those sun-dried tomatoes. She takes them and puts them in the dehydrator on super low, and I have fresh bags of sun-dried tomatoes from the garden. So if you have a lot of tomatoes in your garden, go ahead and use your dehydrator. And they have a whole different smell to them completely, because these are the Roma tomatoes. All right, we're going to put those in there. Now, you know with the blender, you always want to put a little water at the bottom, which I didn't do, obviously, with the basil. And that looks like enough. And chop up nice tomato. Now, sometimes I'll sweeten my tomato sauce with dates. But I'm going to use a little maple syrup today just to get more liquid in there. Try something new. This recipe is going to be reflective of some changes that I've made over the years. All right, we got a nice tomato in there. I'm going to do a little bit of maple syrup for sweetness. Some spicy hot pepper flakes. All right, just to kind of make it interesting. We're going to chop up an onion. Oh, don't look at this mess. This is real kitchen stuff right here, guys. We're gonna put about a quarter of an onion in there. You don't want too much because it'll take over the flavors. Raw onion tends to be very strong. Okay, chop that up just slightly. Throw that in there. Get all the tomato in. Let's see. I actually have to look at my recipe here because it's been so long. A couple more tablespoons of lemon juice. Let's see. And of course, cold pressed olive oil. And about a quarter to half a cup. We'll see how this all comes out. Okay. You want to come up and see this? You see that? Now I'm going to taste it. I'm glad I didn't add the salt. I think it's perfect. So when you look at the recipe, make sure you consider tasting it before you put any salt in, because we've got some salt in here, we've got some salt in here. I'm just going to keep this basic. That being said, let's check out our zucchini. And I'm going to take a layer of the thick ones, because some of these were thick and they're going, see how they're sweating? That's the zucchini breaking down. It's making it a softer noodle. I'm going to put the layer of zucchini on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to drizzle it just a little bit with the olive oil. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the tomato sauce onto it. It's going to break it down. You know, the beauty of this is that you can make it and put it in the refrigerator, you know, before everybody gets home for dinner, and then slice it up. And what's going to happen is all those flavors are going to soak into the vegetables. Or you can serve it right away, because there's a lot of flavor in all these sauces. Okay. Then we're going to take a nice layer of tomatoes. You know what, if you have a serrated knife, always use that with your tomatoes. It makes them a lot cleaner sliced. There we go. Look at that. To layer this out. Here we go. That's one tomato layer. Okay, then we're going to put a little bit of spinach on top. And this, of course, is going to break down a bit. There we go. Now we're going to put the ricotta cheese. Now, I'm placing it on here, but then I'm going to crumble it gently over the spinach. If I tried to use a spatula, it might just get complicated. Okay, so now we have a beautiful layer of ricotta, and then we're going to layer another layer of zucchini on top. There we go. Okay, another little layer of olive oil, and all right, now I'm going to do a big fat layer of tomato sauce. Okay, because this is where all the flavor is. Look at that. Nice. If you have any leftover sauce, throw it on top of some gluten-free pastas, or go ahead and spiralize some zucchini, some beets, anything you'd like, just to give a little flavor. Or make yourself a nice little pizza with some sprouted tortilla. This would make a great pizza sauce. What do we do next? How about another tomato? And we'll put that right there. There we go. Now you can also do this individually if you really want to show off your culinary skills. You can do these, you can plate it so that you have zucchini, tomato, you do zucchini, tomato, and spinach with layers, and you can make it very culinary, but this is going to be a family meal tonight. Okay, we have that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of layer of zucchini, spinach again on top of that before I lay my ricotta. Once again, you might be asking yourself, where is that pesto coming in? I think we're going to save it for the very tippy top. There we go. We're going to kind of place that in there. I am not doing this in any particular order. You can do it however you like. You can layer it to look pretty. You can layer it for flavor. You can add, you can subtract. You can put in a different vegetable if you don't have spinach. Feel free to chop some kale down, or you can even use the lemony kale pesto that is on my website. You can change this up however you like. Just remember, these are the basics, and you experiment from there. That's all part of learning how to play in the kitchen. All right. And we have, let's see, buried into my layers here, we have one more layer. We're going to use the thinner ones now. And what are we going to do now? We are going to throw the pesto right over the top of that. There we go. Look at that. Imagine if you brought this to an event, to a party, how excited people would be. They would be like, what on earth is that thing? It's kind of like those 9-layer dips, except it's a real meal. Okay. And then I think what I'll do on the very top is take my leftover pieces of tomato for color. I'll take a couple pieces of basil. There we go. This is what we're serving for dinner tonight. Okay, that was literally real time, real kitchen, real everything. Do you see? I never even left this spot. You just have to buy the ingredients, lay it out, and what was that, 15 minutes? And I was doing a lot of talking, okay? So this is a great meal for you and your family, and I hope you love it. It's going to be delicious. Check out the recipe section, and you're going to see this nicely laid out for you. We'll have a beautiful slice ready for you to take a bite into.